Yo, what's going on? Hope you guys are having a good weekend. We had a pretty solid last 2 weeks of trading. First week was really green, and this previous week was just barely green. This day on Friday is what brought us to a green week. We started off with a really solid winner, and then we took a small loser after. I'll get into that winner and I'll show you guys a live trade, and then I'll review the trades for this entire week. So let's get into it. So the thesis for this trade is that we were coming out of a used 30-minute supply zone from overnight. We came up and bounced and sold off heavily this morning, and then we came up, made a lower high, sold off a bit, made an attempt to break that lower high, and quickly got rejected with a full-on engulfing red candle, and that was my signal long, along with the order flow. So I went short there and I put my stop loss above a few orders that I saw on the order flow that would have invalidated this short trade and would have proved that buyers are really trying to make an effort to bring the price higher. If they failed to bring the price higher, buyers would have gotten trapped at the highs, and this was going to move quickly. Trade started off a little bit slow, but volume came in at this point, and the trade was looking good as we were in profit. All right, here we go. Getting a pretty solid move to the downside, up over 2 to 1 RR on this trade at this point. I'm not sure when I realized. I must have realized here because I'm looking to make this trade break even, so I cannot lose on this trade. All right, so this trade was looking really good, pretty flawlessly. Didn't give me any struggles. There wasn't a time where I wasn't in drawdown this whole trade, and I'm up almost a 4R on this trade. My TP is probably about 4.2, 4.3R for $900, and we are so close to it. But we're also a little bit overextended at this point. Here, I took off 60% of my position, took off 4 micros, just to lock in some profits. That was at a 3.5R. So about 2 ticks away from my TP there. I really wish I just took the trade off there, but I got to give myself props. I stuck to my plan and I didn't get out prematurely. And yeah, that's where I plan to get out. It just didn't hit, and that's unfortunate. So we made another attempt lower, and it quickly got reversed. And here we are making a third attempt for a breakdown of this range that was kind of existing from the pre-market and the day before. So we're breaking out here, but we just did not get the follow through that I wanted to see. Should have probably kept my initial TP because I think it would have got hit there. The candle closed, reclaiming the prior attempt lower, and it was just not looking good at this point. Looked like we were kind of trapping sellers at the low. As you can see, move reversed at this point, and I was just giving back profit that should have been taken on this trade. At least I did take 60% off at a good risk reward. That's how I like to do it. I like to take a majority of my position off on my first TP, just to get rid of the nerves in the trade and just to secure profits. Alright, long story short, we just ended up reversing the entire move, and I actually got ticked out for break even. So there I am, ticked out at break even for the remaining 2 contracts. Still secured $450 on this trade, but I did miss out on $250 of profit. Significant gain, and yeah, I think I got to manage this trade better. And like I said, follow my plan. I followed my plan on that first move down, but as we consolidated, I moved my TP even lower, and we just didn't hit it. All right, so here's that first trade, selling at a higher low. We were slowly coming out of this 30-minute use supply from the morning, and my thesis was that we were just gonna keep making lower highs, and that's exactly what we did. I entered. Here's the order flow. Saw a huge seller on the order flow that I entered the trade with, and put my stop loss below that seller in case it was trapped. And trade worked out right away, like you guys saw, but we ended up getting ticked out for break even on 60% or the last 40% of my position here. And I went short again, sadly giving back some of my profits from that trade right here for another attempt at another lower high for a move lower again. I saw a trapped buyer on the order flow and a large seller where I stepped in short, and the trade just stopped me out to the tick and just didn't work out. All right, I'm just gonna go over a few trades from the rest of the week at this point. This was Monday. This was a loss that I took at 10:44. I noticed I'm taking some losers later in the day just because I sat there for 2 hours and didn't take a trade, and that makes me take a worse quality setup, I've noticed. So here I am, long. I don't even know. I guess attempting to go long, with buyers that caused this initial move up for a new form demand that I was thinking was being formed here. But now that I look back, this isn't really a super aggressive move. Not only that, we kind of failed to uh, defend it at this area where the move broke above this resistance right here. We failed to defend that part. We actually dipped below that, and then we started to defend it where I entered long, but it just wasn't a good trade at that point. Should have avoided it once we didn't defend this area right here. So I made a whole video on this trade. This was a great trade. It was one win, 9:53 a.m. So I got to walk away pretty early. But yeah, we were inside supply showing demand and zero sellers. As you can see, there's a bunch of really large buyers inside that supply, and we came back into where those large buyers initiated, where I went long and held for a very long time because it was a really slow trade, but a really good trade. This unfortunately took two losers, and as you can see, they're right at around 11. So I had already been watching for 2 hours, and I was clearly antsy to take a trade, and I was trying to make a setup out of nothing. Both attempts were long with these large bids, hoping they would defend their price, defend their orders for a move high and a continuation higher. As you see by the 30-minute chart, we're trending up. So I was trading with the trend, just hoping to long a pullback, but we were ranging. We were in kind of a ranging position for the day, and both of these longs are in the middle of this range. I would have preferred to go long at the bottom of this range, maybe here, or even short at the top, but that's kind of against the trend. So this trade just wasn't that good. There was nothing on the order flow that really signified that these buyers were defending their price. There weren't any trapped sellers. There wasn't any rejection of the price. As you can see, we traded into this area multiple times with zero rejection. Price was allowed to trade there for a long time. So yeah, it's not a good trade. So my biggest note is to look at volume. There's not going to be a significant reversal when there's no volume. As you can see, we got a volume spike here and a solid reversal. Right here where I traded, there was zero volume. This spike came after my trade. There was really dead volume of this trade, so I shouldn't have expected any reversals. Again, the next day I took two losses again. This was actually pretty good trading on my part. I was going short from supply zone, a 75-minute zone. We traded really aggressively into that zone really fastly, which is a recipe for a reversal. And we saw a huge sell order on Bookmap. So I waited for an area to get long. First, we popped up, came into that sell zone, and started to reject. Where I tried my first short, we got stopped out. It's okay. I looked for another entry. And we came up back into the supply zone where I took it short a second time for an attempt at a lower high in supply, one of my favorite setups. And it worked for a bit, worked for about 5, 6 minutes, and we quickly got popped up and I got stopped out. Really good trading. I wouldn't really say there's an issue here. The trade just didn't work out. I could have avoided this first trade and waited for this setup in supply, going short at the supply zone instead of prematurely. But this second trade was 100% valid. And here we go. Here was the Friday trades that I just reviewed. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys traded well. And comment below what you guys are trying to work on in your trading. It's a hard game, and there's always something to improve, even if you're good. Even if you're profitable, there's plenty of stuff to improve. So Yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned for some more live trades. Peace.